board meeting for a number of different reasons. Anyone could go to the YouTube channel, Robert J. Moore, with the Weather Law Book page, go to the website, and understand what the overall agenda is. But here's what I'm trying to accomplish, right now.
Okay, I just need to make sure, are you video and audio taping?
Whatever is on the device is present. Is present.
That's fine. I just have to roll ahead.
Okay, thank you. Right, Clark versus People, Malongo versus People, under Pearson versus Callahan.
Right. Yeah, no problem. You just have to let me know.
Good enough. Okay. Actually, if you read Clark and Malongo, there isn't a burden of that, but I always do it because I want to engender good faith, and because that's the way I'm just trying to get everything on the Capitol steps in the noonday sun to get things fixed. Okay. So, at any rate, just when you get transparency, a lot of the problems are eliminated. So here's what I'm trying to accomplish, officer. So I talked to the young lady, and my procedure is I was riding in the back seat of a vehicle on May 17th, if I recall the exact date, Tuesday night, about 9:30 at night, and an individual was driving the vehicle, and he made a right turn rather than left turn, and we needed to get a left turn to go where we were going. So he was repeatedly notified, Mr. Lorenz, listen, you're going in the wrong direction. He then, for whatever reason, lost his temper and turned up the volume. As far as I could tell, he turned it up as far as he could. I was in the back seat. I couldn't get out of the car because it was driving down Fullerton. I couldn't safely exit the car, and I kept saying off, and stop. So he would discontinue. Either he'd stop the car so I could get out, or he would turn the radio off. But he didn't do that for about a minute.
Okay.
So then shortly thereafter, I complained about that, and I went and got a hearing test at the Ecuadorian.
Who was this guy that was driving?
His name
was it an Uber thing?
No.
Was it a friend of yours?
His name is Lorenz Lessin.
Was it a friend of yours?
I wouldn't call him a friend. I'm calling him an associate.
Acquaintance.
Exactly. So the point is because we had gone to some mutual interest, and but anyway, so the point is, here's what happened now. I called him today, and I invited him to come and participate in any proceedings. All I'm trying to get now, via whatever steps have to be implemented, to a judge who can conduct a probable cause hearing and institute criminal charges. That's my goal.
Right.
And so that my worst position on the moment that the nominal statute of limitations is like 18 months on disturbing the peace and on battery, that if that expires, it can't be attributed to any culpable negligence of myself that I didn't get the charges instituted.
So the first thing we would need to do is a police report.
Thank you.
But so far, based on what you've told me, I haven't heard anything criminal.
Here's where if you read the battery statute, I have a copy of it on here, 720 ILCS 5/ I forget exactly what it is.
I have a copy here.
Or, okay, so either battery, in some cases have declared the sound waves are a battery, because the sound wave is an entity, and the activation of that results in the contact. So if you read, it's any type of contact that's harmful or otherwise causes disturbance.
Yeah, let's take a look at it.
And then there's both a battery and the disturbing the peace. Is there any way for me to make a online report?
Yeah, you can, well, not online, but you can call 311 and do a report over the phone.
I see. Okay, but there's some online reports for some crimes.
Yeah,
but
in fact there is. I believe there is. You might be able to do a simple battery.
Okay, gotcha. Because there's some crimes that are susceptible or amenable to online reporting and some crimes that aren't. So it falls under two things, the battery with the contact.
Simple battery is without legal authority, knowingly, intentionally, and absent of other aggravating factors while not armed with a dangerous weapon, causes great bodily harm resulting in no or minor injury, or makes physical contact of an insulting or provoking nature.
Right. So it's my understanding, based on, I think it's Miller, the Illinois Appellate Court, it was years ago that I looked into, if I recall correctly, it was, in my understanding and my recollection, which is now old, that was classified as the contact, because the making of the loud noise suffices. The other thing is, in disturbing the peace, you have something that is the causing, I forget the exact wording. The problem is, if I turn this off, I have all those documents on I have the documents on one of these phones, but I can't remember which phone it is. So, because I took the pictures, and I made the pictures.
Unfortunately, disturbing the peace is one of those reports that the officer has to be present for.
Oh, okay. And so disturbing the peace.
Yeah, you can't say someone disturbed the peace the other day. We don't do a report post-incident. We would have to observe the actual disturbance.
Okay, so disturbing the peace is contemporaneous to the activity, complained of, and is that solely restricted to activity that's conducted in the presence of a police officer, or just disturbing the peace? Also, is it also applicable in a situation in which a police officer is not present? My understanding, I didn't see any restriction solely to an arrangement in which a police officer was present, which means that under the wording of the statute, it's implied that by the restriction not being included in there, disturbing the peace would also be available to in a situation in which no police officer was present. May I ask, do you know the hours for the warrant officer, just going through the stages?
Yeah, 8 a.m. till 1:30 p.m.
Okay, very good. And is there a warrant officer on this property?
That's that building where they
Thank
work.
you.
Yeah.
So the procedure to get a criminal charge instituted is police report, followed by submitting it to a warrant officer who's there from 8 till 1:30,
Yeah.
right? Okay, and then from there he takes it to the Cook County State's Attorney's Office and presents it, and then either the Cook County State's Attorney's Office presents it to the court, or I can take and try to present it to the court to get a probable cause hearing from
How long ago was she here?
what's it called, a sworn judge. A sworn judge, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, gotcha. So as long as between 8 a.m. and 13:30 on the last day of the statute of limitations or sooner,
There was
I
a
get
call
here
for
to the
a
warrant
traffic
officer
crash
with
at
the
Damon
police
Dollar.
report.
and the person that was
That
there, her boyfriend
constitutes
got locked up.
covering
And
the
I'm supposed to be
bases
here right here to
in terms of,
control the
I'm just trying to
Damon
get to the probable cause
And she was
hearing.
like, "Are you at
because
Belmont
I'm
or Western?"
convinced, the other thing is this, I'll accept a conditional, from the court, I'll accept a conditional institutional charges subject to later revocation, and I'll also accept a conditional police report. And I don't have a problem with that,
Right.
that if the law isn't what I claim it to be. But the big thing is I have to come out on, and as I understand it, the 18 months would be Friday afternoon, unless I missed by a day, but I'm pretty certain it was Tuesday the 15th of May of 2016. My worst position
Oh,
is either,
2016.
right,
Oh,
it's
you're
18
going
months,
way back.
right. But anyway, but the point is the guy I just talked to numerous times, I've sent him numerous proposals to stipulate, to extend the statute of limitations, both civil and criminal. He's not
Right.
interested in that. Now he's claiming he's going to get emails.
Andrew
And
or Ashley?
it is where it is. But at this point, there's nothing more I can do. And there's an interest that guilt not go unpunished and innocence not suffer. And when someone does something like this, I'm convinced, I'm a Roman Catholic, that there's no way it could have been demonically instigated. And so that's my issue. And whatever that is whatever that is. But the point is, when you're in someone's backseat of his car and he's driving, if he was only driving 10 miles an hour, I don't even know if Fullerton would have been safe to try to get out or not. Okay? But the point is, I couldn't risk trying to get out of the car because he was going like over 20 or 25 and he wouldn't turn it down. And he received numerous notices, and it was like into a minute or whatever. Now I'm trying to get out of the car, putting my fingers in my ears, and trying to just bring an end to the situation. And I guess maybe he stopped at a stoplight. It might have been, but you know what? The other thing is, I wrote up an entire verified statement of this, and I also have a verified statement of the person who's in the front seat. But on the 23rd of July of 2016, my computer with all of that was stolen. So I just spent today trying to go through my backup files to find those verified statements, and also
It just sounds like, from what I'm hearing, that it sounds like a set of really unfortunate circumstances and bad behavior, but not criminal.
Well, here's the point. Can you cite any authority in support of that?
No, I'm just giving you my opinion.
Well, right, but the point is that the public is entitled to
Someone
every.
has to intentionally, there has to be intent for a crime, and it sounds like someone just wanted their music up really loud and you didn't like it. I'm just telling you my opinion. You may be able to try to do a police report over the phone or online.
If you read can you give me the statute, please? You don't have the annotations here. What would really be useful is if I had the book of annotations, because then I could show you the court's interpretation. I'm reasonably certain there's some years ago at least, I don't know what recently is.
Simple battery, without legal authority, knowingly, intentionally causes bodily harm.
Okay, so the issue you have is whether or not
knowingly,
intent.
intentionally makes physical contact of an insulting or provoking nature.
Gotcha. I think that's definitely physical contact. The sound waves are.
Yeah,
So the battery.
They mean hand to hand, gun, knife.
You're sure it's restricted to that?
Yeah.
All right, because I just was
It's gotta
reading.
be something that you could, something tangible.
All right, because I was reading a case yesterday from Hong Kong. The first thing that came up on the Google page, and a guy got convicted for making the transmission of the sound. Because in that case, the judge determined that that constituted physical contact because the sound wave is a physical entity. So here's
Maybe
the
in
issue.
another country they.
Well, gotcha,
in
but the issue
Chicago,
is whether or not, it's the principle of whether or not that constitutes battery. But here's the issue. If a person didn't make contact with his hand, but made contact with a hammer,
Yeah,
that
it's a
certainly,
weapon. Yeah,
exactly.
It doesn't have to be their hand, it can
Well,
be a
right,
weapon.
exactly. It could be anything the person had in his hand, or any type of, if he spat on the person.
That would be a battery.
Exactly. Okay, so it's not just physical contact, and it also doesn't include physical contact that's incidental on getting on and off the CTA bus in a hurried situation, so forth. So, okay, the position of Chicago, now I gotta get this recorded, because my worst position is to tomorrow in my 120 seconds at the Chicago Police Board to whoever the head superintendent is there, is to get him to file a police report and or to answer to the public because of the issue of, I've explained I'm willing to take a conditional police report. You understand that. The first issue is because if I showed you in the annotations, if I showed you a single case in the state of Illinois that's never been overturned or reversed, by the way, the case in Hong Kong was upheld, the conviction was upheld on appeal. So the highest court that got to agreed that the sound wave did constitute a battery. But the question is, so if I showed you the annotations, the Illinois Smith-Hurd annotations on that statute, and it included instances of sound where there wasn't physical contact beyond the sound. If that arrangement was presented to you, would you then provide the police report?
Sure.
Okay, gotcha. So you're saying is that your fear is that under the circumstances, it wouldn't be justified to the Mr. Lorenz lesson, 708-582-3637, who has been invited to participate in this proceeding.
Right.
He's also been invited to participate in the probable cause hearing determination, and he's informed me that he's not even, I sent him proposed stipulations last week. I talked to him today. At once he answered the phone for about 6 or 7 minutes, said it wasn't important enough for him to attend to. So he's assumed whatever risk he's assumed, and under the circumstances, so you're saying if you had an annotation that demonstrated, one other question, is there anyone on duty at this juncture that has a legal education or a law license? Gotcha. Is there a supervisor? Because I guess the next question is to get a supervisor, is because I'm willing to assume all that risk. Okay.
Right.
So what I'm saying is I'll take it in the conditional form to protect the person who provides the report from your fear. My understanding, your fear would be some type of criminal charge or civil charge against
In
you.
order to write the report, we have to hear the elements of the crime from what you're describing to us, and without those specific elements, we're unable to provide you with the report. And no, unfortunately there's no supervisors that work here because this really isn't the district. The district is now at Addison and Halstead. This is just pretty much the lockup. So the 19th district is located at 850 West Addison. This used to be the 19th district.
Gotcha. For Fullerton and Sacramento, is that geographical area this courtroom, or is that Grand and Central?
Courtroom?
No, for probable cause determination.
Yeah, that will be here.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so for Fullerton and Sacramento, I'm just guessing that's about where it was, is that this is Belmont and Western is the appropriate probable cause determination courtroom.
Yeah.
Correct?
Correct.
Okay. So at any rate, so you say your understanding is that your understanding you can't get a battery, it's not possible to get a battery charge or disturbing the peace charge filed online.
No, you may be able to. I'm personally not that familiar with the.
Okay, gotcha. The first thing I do is see if I get it done online. If not, I might be able to do it via 311.
Sure.
Okay, gotcha. If not, then you're saying I have to come back here with the annotation which demonstrates that sound wave constitutes a contact, correct?
Correct.
Because the two issues that you have, as I understand it, are intention and whether or not there's a physical contact.
Right.
Okay. Intention and physical contact. Okay. And in regard to disturbing the peace, is the city of Chicago's position, is the position conceded that disturbing the peace can be...
Now, one person can't be the victim. It's gotta be, someone disturbing the peace would be impeding traffic in the roadway, or not allowing
What about
people-
excessive noise at midnight that the
Then
person...
the person could be ticketed for a noise disturbance.
Isn't that, okay, because
One individual would not be the victim in that crime.
Okay, so disturbing the peace requires more than one individual?
Right.
That's, can you cite authority in support of that? The reason why that raises an issue is because the statute is generally written that's likely to incite violence. So the point is,
That would be an assault, like if someone said something to you that sounds as if they were gonna incite violence, then that would be an assault.
But if it doesn't rise to the level, if it doesn't rise to the level, if it's going to instigate, if it's likely to instigate the use of physical force by, okay, so the use of
Battery is when you actually...
No, we're talking about two things: disturbing the peace and battery. We're not talking.
As an individual, you can't have your peace disturbed.
Requires more than one. Oh, well, you know what? There was someone in the front seat. The Frank Regalado, so now that's no problem.
Right, but
Because we have
it's
two
confined to the vehicle, that's not disturbing the peace.
All right. Disturbing the peace requires more than one person. Oh.
What?
All right, officer. What is your name and badge number? Is Stevens, right?
Stevens, yeah.
Okay.
My star number is 18597.
Okay, 18597. First thing I'm going to go do is, because I offered to get it taken conditionally, as far as I can tell, your risk has been eliminated. So I'm going to try to, when I understand now I've incurred damage, I'm going to try to mitigate damages because I have damages from not getting the police report, because without the police report I can't go to the warrant officer. Without going to the warrant officer I can't get the probable cause hearing unless I can somehow go around that, which I'm going to endeavor to accomplish. But at any rate, so to mitigate damages I'm going to go try to file a report online.
Sounds good.
And if I can't do that, I'm going to try to file it via 311 to the extent I can get a connection. If I can't do that, then I'm going to have to go to the trouble to go get the annotations on the Smith-Hurt annotated and or on the Illinois compiled statutes and make pictures of the cases. Wait a second. They're only in the annotations. They're not in the actual book of statutes. The annotations of a judge's determination that the sound wave constitutes a battery. If you had that,
Right.
okay.
We might be able to move forward.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, and then, over out, then I got to keep moving here because I got to keep, by whatever combination of circumstances, if the guy might call me back in an hour and say that he stipulates to the extension of the statute of limitations, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because among other people, he's being assessed the cost of all this if his position is later not found to be justified. So, any rate, that's where I am. I'm sure it's some type of crime because it was there was an ugliness to it that was just, I've avoided associating with the guy. I didn't know he had that type of violent streak, but evidently he resented it. There was no elevation of my voice. I was simply trying to get him to go to the direction where Frank Regalado lives because he said he has a hard time driving at night, and I understood that maybe it was just accidental that he was heading east when we had to go west, but maybe he decided he wanted to do something else in the interim. But at any rate, that's a wrap-up on it, and